Today we're going to learn a beginner version of Lightning Crashes by Live. We'll go through the chords used throughout the song so that we're familiar and comfortable with playing them, and then we'll go into how the song is played, step by step, verse by verse, nice and slow and together. Before you start playing, the first thing you should do is make sure your guitar is in tune. I suggest using a digital tuner so that your guitar is in perfect tuning. Today's song is in standard tune. Another thing you should do before you start playing is be sure that your fingernails are cut nice and short. What this will do is it will allow you to press down on the frets so that you get a cleaner sound and you don't get any unnecessary muting. Before we start, we're going to name our fingers so that it's easier for me to explain how to play the chords to you. Finger number 1 is going to be your index finger. Finger number 2 is going to be your middle finger. Finger number 3 is going to be your ring finger. And finger number 4 is your pinky. Okay, now let's move on to the song. Lightning Crashes revolves around 4 different chords, which I'll go into detail in each one. The first chord is an E. The second chord used is a B suspended 2. The third chord is an F sharp minor. And the fourth chord, which is used during the solo, is a G sharp minor. Now 3 of the 4 of these chords are all bar chords, so this will be a really good practice for your bar chording. Bar chording is probably the hardest way to do any type of chord, so this will be great for practice.
The next chord is the E chord. The E chord is used with 3 fingers. You can also interchange this chord using different fingers.
Now the E chord is just like any other E we played before, where the second finger goes onto the 2nd fret on the A string, the 3rd finger goes onto the 2nd fret on the D string, and then our number 1 finger here goes onto the 1st fret on the G string. And then we strum all the strings together. Should sound like this.
B suspend 2 is a bar chord. It's also similar to the B bar chord and B minor bar chord, but it only uses 3 fingers.
The second chord, B suspended 2, is where we take finger number 1 and we bar all the strings from the A to the high E on the 2nd fret. Finger number 3 and 4 are going to come down onto the 4th fret, finger number 3 on the 4th fret of the D string, and finger number 4 onto the 4th fret of the G string. The B suspend 2 should sound like this.
The F sharp major bar chord is identical to the F bar chord except 1 fret higher.
We just move our fingers up 1 string. So instead of from the A to the high E, we're going to go from the low E to the high E with our finger number 1. Finger number 3 and 4 are going to move up 2 strings as well. So finger number 3 is going to be onto the 4th fret on the A string. Finger number 4 is going to be onto the 4th fret of the D string. And then now we're going to use finger number 2, and it's going to go onto the 3rd fret of the G string. Take finger number 1 and put it back down here and bar these strings. And the G
F sharp major
minor should sound like this.
The G sharp minor bar chord is exactly like the G minor bar chord except up 1 fret.
We'll get into it later, but I'll show you exactly how to play the G sharp minor, which is played on the 4th fret. We're going to bar this as well. The whole 4th fret's going to be barred with our number 1 finger. Finger number 2 is not going to be used, and finger number 3 and 4 will be put on the 6th fret of the A string. 4th finger will be onto the 6th fret of the D string. And it should sound like this. This G sharp minor is exactly like the B suspend 2, except it's up 2 frets and up 1 string, or down 1 string to the lower tone. Let's move into how the song is played now. The song is played very slow. The first verse, which goes throughout the entire song, and the chorus as well, are played with the exact same chords, just at a different rhythm. The original rhythm for the verse sounds like this. We're going to start with our E chord. So, second finger on the second fret of the A string, third finger on the second fret of the D string, then finger number 1 down here on the first fret of the G string. And it's going to sound like this. What we're going to do also is only try and strum the top strings, because he doesn't hit the high strings, which would sound like this if we did it wrong. But what he does is he just hits probably the first 4 strings. So it should sound like this. Okay? Now we're going to move into the B suspended 4. Now the good thing about playing our E chord like this is if we lift finger number 1 and finger number 2, leave this finger number 3 down, and we're going to slide it up to the 4th fret right here. Then finger number 4 is going to drop down right below finger number 3 on the 4th fret of the G string. Finger number 1 is going to bar for us then on the 2nd fret. Now this is where we take all these 3 fingers that we currently have, and we're going to move them up like so. If you can see that. Now when we have those moved up, the same form we were just at with the B suspend 2, we're going to take finger number 2 here and drop it down onto the 3rd fret of the G string, and that gives us our
F sharp major.
Okay, now I'm going to go in and give you the rhythm, and then we're going to come back and we're going to play it together nice and slow. So here I'm going to start on the E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's how it goes. Now, in between each chord, what he does, if you want to get into a habit of doing this, is when you're pressing down onto the frets, he lets go just a little bit to get this sound. Like that. Or like this. And then he comes down to the
F sharp major.
He gets that there. So you're not pressing down completely. You just kind of let go and leave your fingers just touching the strings, which mutes them out. And that's what he does in between. Okay, now let's do it together, nice and slow, from the E to the B suspend 2 to the
F sharp major.
We'll do it nice and slow on the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even slower. And again, quickly, that should sound like this when you get to this point and you're able to play it this fast. Okay, into the chorus, he plays the same chords as before in the verse, except for he plays them a little differently. The transition from the E chord to the B suspend 2 chord is a little faster, but from the B suspend 2 chord to the
F sharp major.
it's the same timing as during the verse. So it should sound like this. Just have a listen. Okay? Now I'm going to play that nice and slow, and then you can come in with me when you have a chance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's do that nice and slow together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, practice that on your own, and we're going to move on to the solo part where he goes up to the G sharp minor. Okay, let's go. Now right at the beginning of the solo, he goes into this G sharp minor, which is played onto the 4th fret. Finger number 1 is going to bar all the strings on the 4th fret. Finger number 2 is not going to be used. Finger number 3 and 4 will go onto the A string and the D string on the 6th fret. And it should sound like this. And what he does is he goes from the G sharp minor, and he strums, then he goes down to the
F sharp major.
minor. Make sure to put your 2nd finger down for this chord. What he does is he plays G, F, G, F, G, F. So 3 times. Then after the 3rd time that he plays the G sharp
F sharp
minor,
major.
he goes to an E, and then back to an
F sharp major.
Now I'll play that once for you. At regular speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to the E. Okay, now let's play that together, nice and slow. Okay, let's play that together, nice and slow, on the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the G sharp. Last time, now we're going to the E. Now back to the F sharp. Okay, let's move on from here now. Okay, so after he does that the initial 3 times, from the G sharp minor to the F sharp, back to the G, to the F, 3rd time down to the G sharp minor, to the F sharp, to the E, and finally to the F sharp. So that's the first half. And the second part is the exact same chords, the exact same way, except he cuts it down by one time. He only does it twice. So he goes from the G sharp minor, F sharp, G sharp minor, F sharp, and then from here, this is when he goes into the E, and then back to the F sharp. So played in real time should sound like this for the second part. Now we're going to move to the E, early. And then he goes back into the verse, which is. Okay? Now let's go back and we'll play that second part nice and slow together. Okay, so on the count of 4, we'll do the second part of the solo from the G to the F, back to the G, back to the F, and then to the E, F. Okay? On the count of 4, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. G sharp minor, up to the F sharp. Now we're going to the E already. Back to the F sharp. And then end off on the E. Because from the E we're going to go back into the verse. Okay, now we're going to backtrack and I'm going to show you how that sounds, the first and the second part of that in real time. Okay, so in real time, this is what it should sound like when you're all finished practicing. We're going to start onto the G sharp minor, and then the F sharp, and then I'm going to go from there. So that's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, then to the E, then back to the F, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, and then to the E. Should sound like this on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time. To the E from here. One more time, here we go. To the F sharp. Back down to the G sharp minor. To the F sharp. That's it. And we're going to go to the E from here. Back to the F sharp. Okay? Now from there, it just goes right back into the verse, which you guys already know. And that's the whole song. He ends off on a verse. So thanks for watching, guys. Good luck.